We did a show together.
Yeah.
At Andrew Air Force Base.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's a photo in your podcast studio of us.
That's true.
Me, you, John Mulaney. I think it's David Letterman.
Yeah.
Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, Joe Biden, and Jill Biden.
Yeah.
They're all in this photo.
Yep.
It is not AI generated.
No, that's real.
What do you remember about that day?
I mean, shaking hands with the Bidens and the Obamas was quick.
Yes.
For me, at least.
Yes.
I don't know about you.
No, it was very quick.
It was, barely even anything. The set was good. Performing for military folks is fun.
No, they were great.
They're good audiences.
Yeah,
Whenever I've done USO shows, they're always great audiences. And then what was funny is we were waiting in a line for a long time, and John Mulaney brought his dad, and I watched his dad just walk up to tall, bearded David Letterman and just be like, "You look like Abraham Lincoln."
Mulaney said this to David Letterman.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really funny.
And Letterman started laughing because everyone, all of us were afraid of him.
Yeah, everybody, all the comics were whispering. So Chip Mulaney, John's dad, and then my dad also walked up to David Letterman.
Oh, he
backstage.
did too.
Yeah.
What did your dad
So
say?
he had a great question. Actually, everybody's always talking about, and the reason why I wanted to talk to you about this is everybody has an embarrassing story about their dad. Obviously, your new special, The Good Life,
all about my
talks
dad.
about your dad. I think Najmi asked him an amazing question, and he was like, "Who was your favorite president to interview?"
Oh, that's a good question.
David Letterman was like, "That's a really interesting question." And I'm watching this in the wide through my monitor, which is my eyes. And I'm like, how the fuck is this happening?
Yeah.
Najmi Minhaj just
surreal.
beelines to David Letterman and is like, "Hey man, who was your favorite president to interview?" And he goes, "That's a really good question. Barack Obama was really great." And he goes, "You didn't interview Nixon?" My dad was like, "How could you? It has to be Nixon, Richard Nixon." And he's like, I think I met Nixon, but I don't know if I interviewed him on the show, but I would have loved to. And yeah, they got to just chat. And then it all of a sudden became Peanuts voices. Like, wah, wah, wah. I couldn't discern the conversation. But my dad was, how could it not be Richard Nixon?
In some ways, that's what the special is about. When you see your parent being like a person.
Yeah.
You're like, right, they're a person.
Yes.
Like your dad had a good question.
Yeah, totally. And I think he did that thing where I think he really did act on it, which is shoot your shot.
Yeah.
Shoot your shot, man.
I know.
And he did.
My mom gave me that piece of advice once where I told her that I saw Steven Spielberg at a party.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Well, did you talk to him?" I go, "No." She goes, this is classic, parent logic.
Yeah.
She goes, "You direct movies too."
Oh, that's great.
Of course you should talk to him. You
That's
direct
great.
movies too.
Yeah.
And I go, "Yeah, I guess you're right." I mean, obviously, with caveats. And so the next time I saw him, I went up to him because I had my mom in my head.
Yeah.
I go, "Hey, I wanted to ask you one question because I've directed two small movies, and I was wondering, I have a daughter and a little girl, and how did you raise kids and be a dad and direct these movies at the same time?"
Right.
He had this detailed answer about how he brought his kids on location and the kids got to see the world and all this kind of stuff. And
yeah.
It's a big credit to my mom that she gave me that advice.
But you really asked a Reddit AMA question, though.
I did.
Oh, man.
I think that's a decent question.
No, I was going to pitch you an alt.
What do you have?
Pitching. Basically, this is the MJ scenario. Okay, Michael Jordan's there.
Yeah, Michael Jordan's there.
Yeah, you're in Italy, and MJ's doing what he's doing. His eyes have jaundice, and he's got the cigar. You gonna walk up to MJ or not? This is my thing.
Yeah.
And I've always felt this, even, this coming from comedy. If you're at an open mic and you're going to go walk up to Carlin or whoever, Chris Rock or whoever that person is, I think you have to have two critical things.
Okay.
You either have to have a great piece of archival story, footage, or something to share.
That's smart.
That's unique. It has to be something
that
you ever
that
seen
would
those
be meaningful to them.
Meaningful to them. You ever seen those YouTube videos of Nardwuar, that kind of
yes.
bizarre
I like the Nardwuar
music
videos. Yeah.
journalist, but he always gives everybody from Tyler the Creator to Nikki Glazer here's your 7th grade yearbook photo, and people are like, "What the fuck, Nardwuar?" You got to have a Nardwuar level archival.
Yeah.
moment.
Okay. Smart.
Or you have to have the question that basically my dad asked, which is a very specific
Right.
question that they haven't been asked at the 92nd Street Y.
That's right. But I think mine's okay in that it's personal.
Yeah.
It's like I'm a director and I'm a dad.
Yeah.
You're a director and you're a dad. You're an icon.
That's true.
But like, how do you do that? That seems hard. Because that was one of the hard things about directing movies is you just go,
Totally.
Your life is gone. People who direct movies, it's like for that period of time they're directing, they're just shells of themselves.
What would you say that total window was, like a year and a half? You were like,
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, like you give over your body and soul to, well, at least 6 months to a year, I would say.
Yeah.
Because the pre-production, production, and the post, you're just like completely consumed.
I'll tell you this, man. I went to the special. So the special is now streaming. It's called The Good Life. And I watched the special. And this is a very rare thing, but I think it's a unique gift you have. Watching playback of the special was better than watching it in the room.
Oh, wow.
And you usually always experience the inverse, which is like, oh, you have no idea what it was like that night. It was electric that night. It actually translated even better.
Yeah, my director,
through film.
Seth Barish, and our designer, Beowulf Barrett, and Aaron Kopp, our lighting designer, we designed it for the screen.
Yeah.
Because the past shows have been off Broadway and on Broadway, and that's really for the audience. Because like 100,000, 200,000 people are ultimately going to see the thing in person. In this case, it's like 18,000 people are going to see it live, and then millions of people are going to see it on TV. So we're like, okay, let's build it for the screen. And
was that the idea also by just designing that beautiful, almost like
the painting?
Yeah. You know, Rockwell means like Horton Hears a Who meets
it was
Bob Ross type of like idyllic vibe.
Yeah, and it was crazy because the painter, the actual painter, was this woman named Irina Portnagina, who flew in from Ukraine or Eastern Europe to just paint it for a month. It's an actual canvas painting.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And we cut it into pieces, and it's we're going to auction off the pieces, and I'm going to put some of them on my wall. And
no, it's gorgeous.
Unbelievable.
It was so textured and beautiful and gorgeous.
And then we came up with that idea of walking through it.
Yeah.
We're like, what if I walked through it? Because the audience can't really tell
the depth.
The depth. Yeah. So that's fun. That's one of the more fun parts of the job.
Was that by design too, where you were like, the backdrop itself will also be 16 by 9. Like it's going to actually be framed beautifully too.
Oh yeah.
In your master.
Our cinematographer is this guy, Graham Willoughby, who's brilliant. And we had so many scouts for this. I mean, it was like a film shoot.
Yeah.
Whereas most comedy specials, it's like, no, we're just going to go get it on that day.
Yeah. You're capturing it that night, and
it's interesting. Like, there's so many specials right now where it's like it's like a no budget special, and some of them are great.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like, you look at like Shane Gillis's one, it has 40 million views.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube, and it's just like kind of feels like a camera in the back of the room at a comedy club.
Yeah.
And you just go, well, great.
Well, what's interesting about that is also when I first started stand-up was 2004. So YouTube comes out in 2005. And there were videos on the internet on YouTube from Invite Them Up, this Eugene Merman show.
Yeah.
So I'm in Sacramento. I'm in Sacramento, California. And I'm basically seeing your generation of comedians kind of take over New York City.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that, to me, was the first articulation of what the form is.
Wow. That's really cool.
Even more than what was happening on Comedy Central. Like Comedy Central presents. I was like, actually what I'm seeing in these like YouTube videos articulates what the form actually is more than, I don't know what the fuck this game show half-hour special thing is.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, I remember Invite Them Up so well. It was like a seminal downtown show.
Yeah.
Mulaney, Kroll, Aziz.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of great people out of there.
So what's interesting is like some of the stuff that I'm seeing now on YouTube, I'm like, oh, this is just similar to that.
Oh, yeah.
The feeling is that like the same.
The thing I think the most exciting thing about comedy, like at this moment, I always try to tell young comics this is like anything could be anything because of YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube is as big as Netflix.
Yeah, sure.
YouTube is bigger than Netflix.
Bigger than Netflix, yeah.
The reach is infinite, basically.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Any amount of people in the world.
Yeah.
So, and the camera technology is so cheap. You know, my phone has a better camera that we were filming specials with in 2005.
That's crazy.
When I did my half-hour special 20 years ago.
Right.
It's better. The quality is better.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can do anything. Like if you're a great live comic, and you film a special and put it up, you have a shot of it hitting like a zillion people.
True.
More people than on Netflix, more
Yeah.
people than any HBO or anything.
That's a great point. And one of the things I also want to just give you credit for is you're one of the first acts that taught me, if you're going to do a show, what's the point?
Right. That's
And
right.
everybody, I think this is your sixth Netflix. Is it
Yeah.
your sixth kind of
Yeah, it was a theater show, basically.
theater
Solo
show.
yeah.
Okay. I would say this, like, love him, hate him. If Mike Birbiglia has a show up in New York City, you have to see it.
That's funny.
No, because of what what's the point? What is this about?
Right. What's this one about? Sure.
Yeah,
That's
what's
so
this one
nice.
about?
That's so
Which
nice.
actually, like, to your lovers and detractors is like, hey, well, you got to see it.
Right.
I think you also need to add that as an addendum to the piece of advice to the comics,
Right.
which is like, with your iPhone 16 Max Pro, you can shoot literally anything. But may I also advise you, it would be great if there's a...
It would be great if it was about something.
You know, it doesn't have to.
Yeah.
But you're one of the people's careers that I look at where I was like, man, that's an incredible career to have.
Yeah. I think I appreciate it. I think part of it is the same thing that I talk about in my special, that my dad was so tough with us. Like,
Yeah.
he was like kind of gruff, and he would shout, sometimes fly off the handle. It's hard for me to disconnect that from how driven I am to like be good at what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you really think it is about being good, or do you think it's about articulating a point?
I think part of it's about articulating a point, but I think part of it is, if you have the luxury to have your job be to tell jokes and stories, you sure as hell be really good at that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair. Yeah,
There's something about that.
Totally.
I mean, it's just a crazy privilege.
Yes.
I don't take it lightly at all.
And to do it professionally.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just
Yeah.
an outrageous thing.
Yeah. It is an outrage. It is
It's
bonkers.
outrageous. It makes
Truly
no sense.
bonkers.
If someone took it away tomorrow, I go, yeah, that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like,
Right. Yeah. You've been enlisted at McKinsey. We need you for GDP.
exactly. Yeah.
Tyrese Halliburton, a player who plays with the Indiana Pacers, got a little bit of flack on this online, where he was basically being gracious. He was saying, I play basketball professionally. I am getting paid to play a children's game. and a bunch of dudes in the comments were like, and this is why he'll never fucking be Kobe. This is why he's not MJ. And I'm like, are you stupid? Like,
Yeah.
This is actually really beautiful what he's saying.
Totally.
Which is, at its core, it is a children's game.
And also, Chalamet got made fun of because he was like, I want to be like Kobe. I want to be the best.
Really good at this, yeah.
At actors, being an actor. I was like, when I saw that speech, I'm like, it's a good speech. I don't know. I agree with him. Everyone in the room wants to be great at it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
As opposed to like Adrien Brody, where it's like, all right. It's like, this isn't my first rodeo. Like, what?
Oh,
like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Wait. I didn't see the.
You
Adrien
didn't
Brody.
see that?
No, I didn't. Yeah, I was nodding to the premise.
Okay,
but I
so
actually
he
didn't know
won
what
the
was going on.
Oscar.
Okay. For The Brutalist. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it was his second Oscar.
Okay.
And he walks up and he's like, basically like, shut off the music. Like, this is gonna be a few minutes. Kind of like, this isn't my first rodeo. He said, this isn't my first rodeo.
Oh, he literally said
He
that.
literally said it.
Oh, you're not doing the TLDR.
No,
He
no.
Basically, okay, got it.
Because this is my first rodeo. I was just like, what?
Wow.
Like, talk about, I don't know. He's a really good actor and seems nice, but those wouldn't be my words in a speech
Okay.
if I won an award.
I'll say this: I didn't see his speech, but I do love him on Instagram.
He's good on Instagram.
His Instagrams are incredible.
Hey, Adrien Brody. Hey,
Yeah.
I hope you're doing well where you are.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
You're there. Okay.
Have a blessed day. We're out here. Keep smiling. Keep being you. I'm gonna do the same. God bless. It's a beautiful day. Can't believe I'm still here.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
that is roughly. That's an estimation.
Yeah. But it kind of does make sense.
Yeah.
What he is saying, he has gotten that people satirize it, but I'm like, every video he does make is an Instagram reel of the POV of it is what it is.
Yeah. Agreed.
And so
I like
you
him.
can't argue with that take.
And his performance is great.
Do you mind if I give away what the point of the special is?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
You can say anything because it's out. I consider
special's out.
Spoilers galore.
Yeah. Okay. So watch the special. Watch all 6 of his specials that are on Netflix. But I will say that the point that I took away from it is it's about you and your dad, but really the good life is the appreciation of these like little small moments that are within your control or agency or purview. That's what I took away from it based on the final lines of the show. When did you come to that conclusion?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. Like I worked on the special for 2 years, and early on the special was all about my relationship with my daughter and feeling like, at the time when I started it, she was 8. And I just started to feel like, I don't know how to answer a lot of questions. I don't know a lot.
Yeah.
And then my dad had a stroke, and I was like, oh man, this is an even harder thing to explain.
Yeah.
Life, death, illness. And then I would say probably 6 months into talking about my relationship with my dad and visiting my dad in the hospital, I started to talk about just like rubbing his shoulder, and how when he was in the hospital, like to rub his shoulder, and it hit me like.
And you guys didn't do this growing up?
No, it hit me like, the reason why this feels weird is that there was no physical affection growing up. So then it's like a reverse engineer. I go like, okay, wait, I'm rubbing my dad's shoulder. It's a deep feeling of connection. I didn't feel this as a kid.
Yeah.
And then I started going to flashbacks of like, okay, when did I feel like this as a kid? Oh, well, actually, when I was hypotonic in the hospital, my dad brought me a Curious George doll and he rubbed my shoulder. I remember that. And then like there's another time where like I thought I had cancer because I was a hypochondriac as a kid. And I was like, took off my shirt. My dad felt my nipples, which is an absurd thing in the special.
Yeah.
And like took a while with audiences to like make it work.
Right.
Because it's such an awkward story to tell.
I love this story about that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But it's like awkward. The first few times you tell that, you're like, and then my
Oh,
dad felt
right.
my nipples. And you're trying to navigate, like, it's not like abuse.
Yeah.
Like, it's just actually like he was examining me.
Yes.
As a doctor.
Yes. As a physician.
As a physician, yeah.
But the audiences are trying to figure out, I'm like, is this a molestation joke?
Is this
an incest joke?
Is this a
What
molestation story?
Yeah.
They don't know.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So you're trying to
They're
like,
in the Mike Birbiglia show.
you're trying to walk them through it, like, in a way where, but the first few times, I think the audience was like, whoa, where is this going?
Yeah.
So then it's like a reverse engineer. So I would say, like, I probably had that ending of the special maybe like 9 months ago, 10 months ago. And then I'm doing it on tour, and I'm trying to see, like, is that connecting with people? Because you can kind of tell in a room full of 1,000 people, like,
Right.
is this connecting or not?
Yeah.
And then it started to connect, and it.
But you believed it that many months ago, right? There's always that moment, and we'll have these conversations backstage in the green room, where, and to me, this is when I feel like the show's the best, actually.
Yeah.
Comedians, we will have these moments where we're talking backstage, and there will be these like little cracks where I'll be talking to you, or I'll be talking to like a Lewis Black or a Colin, whoever it is.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, da da da, and I'm like, oh, that's what you actually believe, and that's what this is all about.
Totally.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, and with this one, that's part of the reason I didn't take it to Broadway and off Broadway was two reasons. One, I wanted to capture the feeling of it.
Yeah.
In the moment that I was still experiencing the feeling.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a long in the past kind of thing.
Yeah.
The other thing is I couldn't perform it anymore because it felt painful to talk about my dad, who's, now still alive, but with AIDS and like medical AIDS. And like, I just thought, why don't I, instead of going to Broadway or off Broadway, why don't I just bring this to the Beacon, do 3 nights, 4 nights. It ended up being like 6 nights, and I'll film it, and then I'm going to let it go.
How did you navigate the whole, my dad is sick, my dad is recovering, I'm processing this tough bump in the road, family-wise, that's deeply personal.
Yeah.
I'm living through it, and I got to make a show about it.
Right.
Like, how did you navigate that part of it? And also, you had to very much, I'm sure, navigate when you were going through it, there was also a possibility of your dad passing.
That's very true. And then the Pope, who's in the special, who I met a year ago, did pass away.
Yes.
So we acknowledge that in the credits, special thanks to
Pope Francis. Okay.
First ever.
Yeah,
First
sure.
ever.
Yeah,
shout out to the Pope.
Prayer hands
Comedy
emoji.
Special,
Yeah.
But like, no, that crossed my mind. Like, my dad could die at any stage of this. And basically about 5 times we thought my dad might die in the last like year that were pretty hard. And it's hard. I'm lucky because I have very supportive siblings. My brother Joe works with me professionally. He's one of the producers. My sister Gina kind of introduced me to comedy when I was younger. My sister Patty's very funny. They're all super supportive of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I think that they would tell me if it was over the line, but I don't call them to vet it with them. You know what I mean? Like I don't.
You just invite them to the Beacon.
Yeah, this is.
They see the Netflix little.
Yeah, this is the show.
Insignia at the bottom.
They all saw and gave notes on like the show at different stages. Particularly Joe, who's a producer.
Right. So Joe Birbiglia is Mike Birbiglia's brother.
Yeah,
and
he
Joe is like
for 20 years.
Yeah, has been a co-producer and co-writer of many things.
Yeah. He's written a lot of stuff. So that's hard. I mean, look, I feel guilt over it. But then at a certain point.
Oh, I'm not. I'm asking. I don't have a.
No. I don't think you're telling me I should feel guilt, but I'm volunteering. I do feel guilt about it sometimes. I think maybe that's my Catholic upbringing, about being confessional about my dad. But ultimately, I'm like, it is my story to tell.
Yeah.
If you've had this relationship with your dad that's somewhat stilted, like that is your story.
Right.
And by sharing that story, people are able to process their relationship with their parents, and so I think it's more healing than hurting, but I do think about it a lot. And I also think about it in relation to my daughter. Like my daughter.
And your dad's seen the special, right?
No.
Oh, he hasn't seen it.
No, and I wrote a piece in the New York Times the other day. He hasn't read that either.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know.
By choice?
I don't know. I don't know if
your father's name is Vince. Yes.
Vince Birbiglia.
Yeah.
Dr. Vince Birbiglia.
When I read it, so you just wrote this New York Times op-ed.
Yeah.
And when I read that his name was Vince, I'm having this weird brain fog thing where I'm like, there's no way that an older gentleman is named, because Vince is it feels so contemporary.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a.
Dr. Vincent Paul Birbiglia.
Okay.
Grew up in Bushwick. Over here.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bigger deal that your dad has not read the New York Times op-ed. A New York Times op-ed is just...
It's a big thing, right?
Oh, yeah. It's like my dad missing a Fareed Zakaria op-ed. I mean, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal. This is catnip.
Yeah, no, I know what you
for men
mean.
in their 70s or plus. Yeah.
Yeah.
NewYorkTimes.com.
No, I know.
Huge deal. Do you think... I think it's a love letter. I think this is a love letter.
I do think it is. I intended it that way.
Yeah.
I do love my dad. I feel like he loves me. I think it's hard when... I was the youngest of 4.
Okay.
And so I think I was a little bit of an accident, which nothing wrong with it.
Right.
but also I think he was a little bit like done with parenting.
Oh, interesting.
Like
you tell a great joke. You were like, your dad basically became a physician and got his JD and his MD.
Yeah,
which
and the joke is that's how much he didn't want to be a dad.
That's how much he didn't want to be a dad.
Yeah.
But I would have loved for you to empty the clip on just the JD MD thing.
It's crazy.
Because it's two wildly different things. It's like, hey, do you love social studies and microbiology?
Yeah.
Like equally. And how about you go really deep on both?
It's crazy. He basically got his law degree like in his free time, for fun.
Yeah.
He never practiced law. He didn't take the bar.
Which is insane.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Who are these people?
Who are these people?
Analyze that.
Yeah, totally.
And then what type of essay? I always think about the JD MD essay. They're always like, why do you want to do this?
Yeah. No, totally. And so anyway, I think that's part of what makes me meticulous about the shows too.
Yeah.
In some way is because that's my background. My background is this person who's really, really academic.
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask this? So you wrote this really great New York Times op-ed, and in one of the opening lines, one of the opening paragraphs is, I got into this political discussion with my dad, and we had a disagreement.
What is the political discussion?
Yeah, and then I walked away. What was the political discussion? What was the political disagreement?
It was terrible. I don't say it in the op-ed because it's so polarizing.
Okay.
Like, because I was like, I don't want
your dad was pro-segregation, and you were like, I can't have this.
No, like it was just a nasty conversation.
Okay.
It was probably 2010-ish.
Okay.
Whatever. It was like email forwards.
Okay.
Of like
Barack Obama
conspiracy theories.
Oh, got it. The birth certificate one, or which one? Or he's Muslim?
Maybe. Yeah.
Oh, got it.
Maybe,
okay.
right?
And who knows?
I think we know.
Okay, we know birth certificate.
I think it's locked down.
Yeah, we know that he was born in the United States of America. Yes.
And it was that thing that people do, and it's very common.
Oh, I'm just asking the question.
I'm just asking questions. I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know. I read this thing. I don't know.
Got it.
And it's like, no, but we know. And what's the end game here?
Oh, what are you getting at?
Yeah,
Oh,
what are you getting at
interesting.
here? The thing I learned from talking to my dad about political stuff through the years is just like, it's not worth it. Like, it's like I have the line in my show, like all these years, I wanted to be my dad. And at a certain point, I realized I wanted him to be me. And like, that was the point where I was like, I can't do that anymore. Like, he's not going to be me, and he shouldn't be.
Right.
He's on his own journey. And like, it's a weird thing to realize that.
Yeah. That he's not going to be you. Yeah, that was a very interesting thing to read. It's also, before I forget, you always have in your specials, there is one run where it's really fucking good. And I'm always like, surely between Jim Gaffigan, Jerry Seinfeld, and all the greats, somebody has like scraped the meat off this bone.
Right.
You empty the clip on Urban Air, which is basically like you probably have one of the best 3 to 5 minutes on just children's birthday parties.
Yeah.
And I cannot believe this has not been mined.
It's insane.
It's crazy that it's insane that it was just sitting right there this whole time.
I think about that. Yeah, because I basically say like I go to 200-300 children's birthday parties a year, and I hate
200 to 300.
And I hate it. It's my least favorite part of my life.
Yes.
Because I don't like my daughter's friends.
Yes.
And yeah, it's funny how when you stumble upon a bit that you feel like someone must have hit this, and
Yes.
then I do sometimes Google like, is there a joke about blah blah blah, comedian joke about blah blah. Yeah. I got lucky. I hit a thing that people didn't.
I mean, it is such a rich vein, and it would be in the pilot episode of the 2020, 25, like Everybody Loves Raymond pilot.
Yeah.
That you would shoot for CBS. I'm like, this is so, and I could not believe that it hadn't been hit. And then I'm watching this at the Beacon, and I'm like leaned in, and I'm like, one, enjoying the bit, but then two, I'm like, how the fuck has this not been done?
Do you go to them, the birthday parties?
Yeah, of course.
They're awful.
They're terrible. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I've enjoyed one.
Yeah, every part of it is pretty bad. Every part of it is bad. And all of it, like, this bit surely has been done, but we're all at the age where we don't have to do this. This is not about us.
Right.
Like, you have your friends, and they're in Boulder, and I have my friends, and they're in Sacramento and New York.
I went to another one last week.
It's this weird UN diplomacy thing where we have to maintain the peace for our respective civilians of our state, because our children and your children have this alliance through, Miss Mackenzie's class, which will be over in 2 months.
I went to my daughter's one last week, my daughter's birthday, and it was an escape room, except because it's modern times, you can get out of the escape room. The door is open.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, all right, well, what are the obstacles here?
Yeah.
And then at one point, like, imagine this wall just opens up, and then there was one of the clues was baked into you have to shoot a rifle. It's like a rifle. It's not actually you have bullets or something, but it's the weight of a rifle.
Yeah.
And all the kids, a bunch of 10-year-old girls going, we don't know how to shoot a rifle.
Oh my God.
And I was like,
true.
all right, well, I'll give this a shot.
Yeah.
And so then I shot the things, and I was like, okay, 2, 1, 9, 5, and then we moved on.
Oh wow!
It's like I was the rifle shooter.
You were in
the bunch.
You were the Second Amendment guy.
Yeah, apparently.
That's really interesting. Okay, so you also have this thing in your shows where a common thing, and at least 4 of your 6 specials, is your health.
True.
You are always on the verge of death.
Seemingly. Yeah.
Has this been a thing that has just loomed over you for your entire life? For real?
No,
even when you were a young man?
The first sign of that I was going to die was...
Yeah, so it has been.
Well, I had a bladder tumor when I was 20, which is crazy.
Yeah.
What a crazy thing to happen. Blood in my pee. I went home, told my parents. They took me in to the hospital the next morning. They put me under. They looked in. There was a tumor. They took it out.
Yeah.
I was very lucky. Because my dad's a doctor and sort of has good instincts, he was like, I don't think Mike should do chemo or radiation. So I didn't actually have all the stuff that's really painful.
Oh, wow.
And then it didn't come back, and I go for like regular checkups. So that was like the first thing that happened. And then I ended up with, I sleepwalked through a second story window.
Right.
And when I was like 25.
Wait, so, but the thing that I wanted to just ask was, at that age, then does death become a looming thing?
100%.
Really?
100%. Not as a joke. No, I was literally like, I was facing down death. I mean, I really was like, all right, I guess that's it. For like before the biopsy came back on the tumor.
Right.
I was like, I guess that's going to be a wrap on me. It's been a good run.
Uh-huh.
And then when I found out that it actually, I should say it was malignant, but they got all of it. So I was very lucky. And then I was like, oh, well, we can always die. We could drop over tomorrow. It was like, because I'd seen death. I'd seen that for 10 days. Like, I guess I'm going to die.
Yeah.
So it really made me go hard at goals, because I was like, I want to be a comedian. So I think it just like, it amped me up by like 2 or 3x.
Really?
I do. And then I think too far, jumped through a second story window. Maybe I was a little too amped up. I was like sleep deprived. I was driving around the country in rental cars and doing 7 colleges in 5 nights kind of thing. It was crazy.
Have you ever had this really dark conversation with your friends? Which one of us is going to die first?
No, I like that though.
A buddy of mine has dropped that into the group thread, and it is pretty wild. Where like Du Bois will tell you pretty candidly who's going to die first. It's very funny.
That's interesting. Do you think that their theories are accurate?
100% accurate.
Really?
Yeah.
Where do you land in it? I feel like you'll live long.
No, they're like, Du Bois, when they roast me, they're like, if you're not taking the MTA to work every day and you're driving, they're like, you're going to die within 24 to 48 months.
No.
Yeah, the running joke is, and it is true, I am a notoriously bad driver.
Wow.
Yeah.
But other than the driving accident, do they think you die?
Because
you seem in good health.
No, I'm in good health. Otherwise.
Yeah.
Then there's another buddy of mine that I'm not going to name. I'm not going to just like ruin his LinkedIn life. But yeah, we have a buddy on the thread that does not take good care of his health. And we're like,
right,
you're for sure dying first.
I could see that.
But it's a very funny, very dark bit that is sequestered to iMessage between 6 fellas.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
You and I had a very good conversation on my podcast about who's the fastest kid in your school.
Yes.
And to this day, people are commenting.
The video goes so hard.
Who the person
full
is
government
fastest. Name. Yeah, full government name, fastest kid in your school. You texted me last night. Do you remember the fastest kid in your elementary school? I remember the full government name of the fastest kid at elementary school, because people are watching this at home or listening to it, and they are immediately thinking the fastest.
Right.
Kid.
In the comment section, write down the full government name.
Oh, yes.
Of the fastest kid in your school.
Come on. The comments. I think there's thousands of comments at this point of like the fastest kid. I mean, it's almost like you could make a document.
Totally.
You could do a Google Doc that has like the fastest kids.
Yeah, totally.
That clip is great.
Yeah.
I hope you do that as a bit in your next special.
I did. But the thing that needs to take it to the next level of okay, this is true. Now what?
Yeah.
So the place where it's still, I've been working on it. It's pretty surface level, which is like, you guys remember when. It's a you guys remember when bit.
Sure.
But if you can flip that on its head and take it to a new place. So the 2 new places that I've taken it to that I've kind of figured out, which is, why was that such a big flex? It had no real value. But then I started to realize speed is kind of important at varying points in your life.
True.
Elementary school, who's the fastest? Like, it's not about being in the NFL, but I can get from that tree to that tree very quickly.
Yeah.
But then in high school, it's who has a car, who can get the fuck off of campus. So it's like Ryan has a 4Runner and we can go to Chipotle at lunch, and it's a big deal. And then as an adult, it's TSA pre-check.
That's right.
Which is like,
clear.
Yeah, clear is huge. And global entry.
Like
when you're returning and you just walk past these peasants.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty powerful flex.
Huge. It's a huge flex.
Yeah.
I can't get my wife to get global entry. It drives me crazy.
Really? She just doesn't want to do the interview.
She doesn't like going to government offices.
She doesn't want to do the interview with the government.
She doesn't like the rigmarole of it. It's hard.
Yeah.
You must find this in marriage sometimes where you're like revved up. We're going to get global entry. We're going to get clear. We're going to get this. But then you got to get your wife or husband to do it also.
Right.
Because otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, equal
You go
buy-in.
through the global entry line, and then your wife and daughter are in the regular line.
Yeah.
Who needs it?
Yeah. That's the toughest thing. Yeah, how do I get this bill
Obviously,
through?
that's the most challenging thing about marriage.
Yeah, and vice versa, by the way, where she's just like, I can't convert you on this. And
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
I don't think I'm just not buying the premise.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And especially being comedians, we're uniquely stubborn about certain things.
Yeah.
Just from the iTunes user agreement, I'm like, I actually don't buy into this at fucking all.
No, and Jen's a poet, which is like almost more extreme.
Oh, interesting.
It's like poets they don't even engage with human beings.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
right.
They're just like, no.
Oh, right. Institutions at all.
No.
Right.
There's no even end game with being a poet.
Yeah.
There's no like, we all know the best poet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like this super subjective thing that.
Oh, wow. What
and
a
then-
wild hall
yeah,
of
yeah,
mirrors.
some-
But then for you to be a comic, which is like, you have to be so dialed into your POV.
I think so.
Specifically with stand-up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really fascinating. I never thought of that. Hey, so you empty the clip on Catholicism in the special.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
You said it to me backstage. You go, you ready for the Catholic people to come at you?
Yeah, I was
I
like,
guess
why ruin the one thing that
My one demo.
your target demo,
Yeah,
55 and up,
Yeah,
love?
totally.
But people were getting oddly, like, really uncomfortable in their kind of chairs
I
even
like
during
that,
the taping.
though. I like that.
Okay, so what got you to that point? I mean, was it all the stuff that came out about the church and the boys? What made you come to this point?
I think what probably radicalized me on the Catholic Church was the kind of spotlight era stuff with
Specifically with the priests
I
and
think so, yeah. And I fortunately was not treated that way. But, we definitely, when I was a kid, like there was a priest that they moved. They're like, Father, I'm not going to say his name, but like, Father Patrick is gone.
Oh.
Where did he go? It was like our favorite priest. Where'd he go?
Oh, no.
He's at another school now.
Right.
Okay. And looking back, you're like, he is? You know what I mean?
Oh, no.
You're like they just move him to the other thing. It's
Yeah.
awful.
He's been traded to Dallas. And you're like, should he be? Yeah.
He plays for the Suns.
Yeah, he should be out of the league. He shouldn't go play for the Mavs. and
Yeah. But like,
Be in that organization. Yeah.
the evolution of it was at a certain point with this show, I took down Catholicism, but I took down all religions. Like I was going after everybody. But at a certain point, I was like, I don't think I can really go after everybody. You know what I mean? Because it was like, like you can go after your own religion. I don't know if you can go after. Well, South Park did it. They
Yeah.
went after all religions.
Sure.
But it's a bold move.
It's a bold move. We on this show, we had Rainn Wilson on the show. And
Oh, yeah.
Rainn is very openly,
spiritual.
very spiritually. He's very open. He's very spiritual, and he's very Baha'i. But he's willing to pair. His Bluetooth is open, and he's willing to pair with almost like every faith. But he had this pretty interesting take, which was about expecting perfection from religion, where he's like, in no other part of your life do you expect perfection in your partner, or
Yeah.
but why do we expect
Oh, that's fair.
perfection?
I
here?
totally get that.
My only pushback to that is that they are offering you divine
Salvation.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
and eternal.
Yeah, eternal.
Yeah, it's the number 8 sideways.
Right.
Infinite salvation,
Right.
infinite utopia, and salvation for infinity and
No, I
beyond.
get that. And I have like
But it is a very interesting point.
I have an extraordinary amount of respect for my friends like you who pray, I think prayer is really powerful.
I mean, well, my only thing with it is like, I've lived long enough to be like, you guys trust this?
Yeah, totally.
You trust this?
Yeah.
Like,
You trust
how many?
this?
Yeah, you trust all of this.
Yeah.
Not to sound
Trust
like
this building isn't
yeah,
gonna fall
not as like
down.
a conspiracy theorist, but it's just like, how many
Some guy-
recessions have we been
some
through?
guy named Lance signed
Yeah,
a
how
paper
many
that
wars
he
have we been-
barely read.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
and I'm like, so
totally.
you believe all of this?
Yeah, totally.
I
I
everything on
completely
the way.
agree with you.
So I'm like, there has to be something that makes more sense than whatever this is.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. It is that.
I get that.
Yeah,
I think at
it
some
is a
point-
form of the serenity.
I might take this up in
Prayer.
my next special. But it's like, I think at some point, and maybe I'll run it, maybe you can run it. I think we have an all global, all world conference about what all the religions believe in. And just so we know. It's like, what's our take on gay people? What's our take on women? And then we have real conversations. We go, Yeah, I'm Catholic, but I'm like level 3.
Oh,
I'm not
interesting.
with that guy.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot of qualifications.
So there's a lot of bishops on YouTube. I'd love for
Oh,
you
I
to
didn't
go.
know that.
Yeah, there's all these bishops on YouTube. Yeah, so Maya Hawke and Ethan Hawke did this like podcast with a bishop, and by the way,
Really?
I'm trying to get booked. For real, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And he's bishoped up.
Really?
Full black. Yeah.
No kidding.
The red dopey,
And
the
it's
whole
good.
thing. Oh, it's great.
Is it a podcast?
It's a podcast.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I want to be on the show.
Wow.
Yeah.
But don't you feel like we
What?
should have a referendum just on the world religions of like, I don't think we even know what different religions believe in.
Do you want me to do the bit, or do you want me to be for real? If I'm going to be for
real,
if I'm going to be for real, the gamut for each of all the faiths, it's
wild.
too wide.
No idea.
Yeah, between people that are really orthodox to the most secular. Like that delta is huge for each.
Yeah, it's true.
Here's the one thing that gives me hope in regards to religion. Okay, if you look at the internet comment section about any religion,
Yeah.
it is a cesspool. But if
Yeah.
you look at the Wikipedia of religions, it is actually
Pretty clean?
it's pretty even tempered and pretty,
Okay.
I feel like it gives a fair assessment of all the
Gotcha.
faiths. Yeah.
Yeah.
YouTube comments very different than the Wikipedias of,
Yeah,
of the,
that
the
makes
great
sense.
faiths of the world.
How would you feel if you found out that you've been having the fake version of something your entire life? Outraged? Angry? Well, get ready to get mad, because every cup of chai that you've bought at some chain coffee shop here in America is fake. It's packed with tons of sugar and artificial flavors that are horrible for your health. And for some reason, they keep spelling my name wrong. But it doesn't have to be that way. Kolkata chai is changing all of that. Zero sugar and natural ingredients that you can actually pronounce. Organic black tea, cardamom, black pepper, fresh cinnamon. It's the boldest cup of chai you can find with their unique range of chai blends and concentrates. And you don't have to stand in line for it for hours. You can make it at home in minutes. It's the only chai that's allowed in the Minhaj household. All other chais are forbidden. Head to kolkatachai.co/Hasan to grab your first cup and 2 free gifts on me.
You met Pope Francis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Similar to the Obama-Biden thing, though. It's like...
Really?
No, you just shake hands and take a photo.
I would say, man, RIP to Pope Francis, though, as one of the goats. There was this really beautiful montage that I saw that was put together about Pope Francis that moved me a lot. There was this photograph of him where he met these 2 rival political leaders in Sudan, I believe, and he kissed their feet.
Oh.
Yeah, to be like...
That's beautiful.
Yeah, like, let's put an end to the violence. And one of the things that I felt, this is just for me personally, is that pettiness, anger, pain, suffering, murder, war, there is no shortage of that in the world. He was one of the few people that was incredibly popular that represented the opposite of that. And that is a very rare category.
No, whenever people criticize him, I always just go compared to what? You gotta go compared to what? Compared to the other popes, he's great.
Oh, interesting.
You know what I mean? Yeah, the joke in the special is like, if you met him at a party, you'd be like, this fucking guy?
Yeah.
But like, compared to the other, some of the popes were Nazis, like literally Nazis. And so, yeah, you gotta incrementally look at him. Yeah, the Sudan story, that's beautiful. There's a lot of stuff like that. There's a really beautiful documentary. Before I decided to go, I watched this documentary on him called Pope Francis, a Man of His Word, which is a great documentary.
Yeah.
But it did like really express like the interfaith efforts he made. He really like visited like religious leaders of all faiths and went to all parts of the world that were war torn and struggling, and would go to children's hospitals and things. I mean, to me, he didn't feel like a photo op.
Yeah, to me, he was one of the most popular people that genuinely did in his dying days care about the poorest and weakest.
Yeah.
From what I understand.
Yeah, from what I understand, exactly.
Yeah, I haven't been informed of other further
yes, exactly.
things. Yeah. Okay, you considered not going.
Yeah.
Why?
I feel like in some ways my comedy is so much a reaction to being raised Catholic.
Okay.
Like I feel like my upbringing was so repressed. I never felt like I could express how I feel about things. Like, and I think that was very Catholic. I feel like that was very baked in. And then when I saw Spotlight, the movie, Tom McCarthy's incredible Oscar award-winning movie, I mean, it really hit me hard. And so when they were like, do you want to come to the Vatican? I was like, I don't know if I support the organization and all that. But I also felt like it's really, in a lot of ways, it's for my parents. You know, they grew up, my mom grew up going to Latin Mass in Buffalo, New York. And the idea that her son would meet the Pope is an outrageous concept.
Right. You brought back rosary beads.
Yeah, I brought back rosary beads that were blessed by the Pope. And my dad was struggling, and you know, he was raised Catholic, went to a Catholic high school, Xavier in Manhattan, and like, so it was a big deal for him. And he was just out of the hospital.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's sort of, I mean, I would say that's the majority of why I went.
So you went out of guilt, which is the most Catholic thing you could do.
Exactly.
I mean, it's like,
Ira Glass said something to me
Yeah.
one day. He goes, the thing you're not saying in your show is that your parents wouldn't have gone for you
oh, that's so funny.
to see like Richard Pryor.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. They're like,
They
Mitch
don't really-
Hedberg.
Yeah, Mitch
Why would
Hedberg.
we
Yeah,
go
yeah.
see him?
Yeah.
He does one-liners?
He does one-liners, yeah.
Watching the show, man, I don't know if you've gotten this feedback, but it definitely got me to start thinking about why I don't know more about my own parents.
Good.
Why don't we know more
I don't know.
about our parents? Why don't we?
For me, I think, and I think some other people have this too.
I have a theory, but you tell me your
Well,
theory.
I just think like it's like you sort of think you know, and at a certain point you're like, wait, do I? And then also like, I think part of it is you don't quite, or I don't, for a long time, I didn't quite view my parents as people.
Yeah.
I viewed them as my parents.
Yes.
Which is kind of crazy, but I think it is something people experience.
Yeah, I think the problem is there's just two hard gears, and they're wildly different.
Yeah.
Which is, it just seems like it is a never-ending period of your life where your parents are the cops.
Yes.
They are the police state.
Right.
Like, you're reading 1984, you're like, this is the same. Okay?
Yeah.
So they're the cops. And then, on a dime,
Yeah.
you come home one day for, like, winter break, and you're like, you're old.
Right.
And that is a tough thing.
Yeah, it is a tough
And
one.
you're their parents now.
Yeah.
And that's the thing.
Right. That's what people keep saying to me, that I'm a sandwich generation comic. Like I'm living in I'm taking care of my parents, I'm taking care of my daughter.
But actually, at its core, I think to open this part of our convo to a more empathetic channel, which is trying to understand who they were and are in the context of the lives that they lived. What do you think his core operating system, like, values were?
I think a lot of what he was trying to do was simply achieve, achieve and succeed, and then I think do well by people. Like, I think whenever I would meet his patients, they would come up to me on the street sometime and be like, your dad is a great dad, you know?
Wow.
Or I'm sorry, your dad's a great doctor.
Yeah.
Your dad's a great doctor. I was like, oh, okay. And they would even literally say, like, he has great bedside manner. You know, I've gone to a lot of doctors, and your dad is different. He's really special. So I think, like, and that was just almost without fail. People would compliment him and how kind he was. But then I think he had this thing that he was just so motivated that he was, I think he wanted to succeed. But I think he did view his life as a success. He was a doctor, you know, he had a family of, 4 kids, and he was very serious about education. We all went to college, and, that was like a huge part of his life, because he lived in Bushwick, and completely as a fluke, and I found this out when I was visiting him in the hospital, just asking him a lot of questions. Completely as a fluke, he applied for the entrance exam for Xavier, which is still here, Catholic Jesuit school in Manhattan, because his friend did it. He's like, my friend goes, what are you doing Saturday? I'm doing this entrance exam for his high school. Oh, I'll do that too.
Wow.
He scored really highly. He got a scholarship. He's at Xavier. He's taking the train in from Bushwick. Where are people applying? Colleges, Holy Cross, the Catholic college in Worcester. And then he gets in, and then he goes there, and then he goes to med school, University of Buffalo, and that's where he meets my mom. It's like a series. I think the thing that you don't realize about your parents is it's a series of flukes. Whereas from the kid's perspective, you're like, he planned it this way.
Right.
It's like, no, he
yeah.
didn't plan any of it.
Oh, interesting.
He was just doing his best in the moment.
Oh, wow.
Kind of like you are.
Totally. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, okay.
Taking in information and then making a decision in real time.
Yeah. And then he blinks and he's 84 years old and he's could die any day.
Just to give your dad his flowers, do you have a story about your dad, Vince, where you go, I'm proud to be his son?
Oh, I mean, the thing that my dad, I think, got right in such a deep way was just education. He got himself out of the situation he was in through education. And then with us, with his kids, he's just super intent on no matter what anything costs education-wise. All these schools that we went to are so expensive.
Sure, yeah.
I think he really believed that was the path. That was kind of the only, way was just like higher education. And, as I get older and I look around, I go like, I think he was right. And at the time it felt snobby. And in hindsight, I'm like a lot of my best friends are people I met in college. A lot of the people I work with professionally are people I met in college.
Right.
And it's like, I don't know, like it's, in some ways I do think it's snobby, but I also think like he had a real strong inclination that was what we needed.
Yeah.
It's a hard one.
So you criticize him for his drive.
Yeah.
You know that you kind of have his drive, right?
Sure, I've been told.
Do you see that or no?
Yeah, no, I'm accused of it by my siblings all the time.
Got it.
They call me Vince Jr.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is the whole Simba Mufasa thing. You are him.
Yeah, there's something there. Yeah.
But you made him seem like he was Scar. But you actually are.
Maybe. I don't know. I guess so. I mean, there's a case to be made for it, and certainly my wife would make it for you, but I'm not here to make it.
Mike, thank you for being my friend, and thank you for being an inspiration.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, man. I didn't even know how to end. That's the end.
So fun.
Yeah, man. That was it.
Awesome.
That was rad.
That was great. It was deep. That was the deepest interview I've had.